When I first came here, I was so in awe of the youngsters here that are so driven and so ambitious and accomplishing so many things. And I mean, like these 23-year-olds who have started like 4 businesses.
Yes.
And I would think, how
How?
old are you? You're 25?
That's a solid
And she'd
success
already done
story.
like, produced 8
Yes.
films. I thought, at 25? 7th year of being here full time. And I never thought of myself as an expat before, but I kind of feel like, I guess I am.
So it has grown on you.
And not only that, but I don't foresee ever going back to the US to live.
2010 India and now 2025. It's good 15 years. And what's the change that you've seen and when you came here?
The
And
phone. I really know Bombay like the back of my hand. Many parts of it, more than my wife. If you have a very clear idea of what it is that you want to accomplish, it makes life easier.
so that we have a Gora actor. Why not use him for the Gora roles?
Yeah, exactly. I was very reluctant to get back into it because I had been a working actor, and then once I got into photography, I had no interest in acting anymore. I really didn't. Then I got called for Sas Bahu. In fact, when I first got called, I told them to call a friend of mine who spoke French. I was like, oh, you don't want me, you want this, call my friend, he speaks French. Life in Bombay is not a crime thriller or a soap opera. It's real love, real loss, friendships, aging parents, everything in between. So it's a very modern love story, actually.
So are you going to pursue that Le Corbusier role?
Yes.
If it ever happens?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I'd be interested in writing it and directing it. Having said that, there are many things here that are projects that I've been on, usually OTTs, that are super organized, where you get the call sheet.
Because that's all studio backed.
Yeah, you get the script, you get the call sheet, you know what you do. Having said that, even Heeramandi, which was a gigantic, mammoth project, we didn't get the script till that morning. Every day,
That's how he works, I think, Bhansali.
That's how he works, and that's just how some people work in general. That's films in the South, Triple R, Rajamouli would just sort of write it down and say, "Here, say this."
Oh,
Let's shoot. There's no rehearsal. You're like, oh shit. Okay, let's go. Me, Heeramandi, when I watch it or anything like that, like I feel like I'm just looking at a guy who's trying to remember lines. True story about this amateur football
club.
This is
an Indian OTT?
Yeah, about this amateur football club in Kashmir, and they bring in this ex-pro Scottish football player who's their coach, and he takes them to #1 team in their league and turns them pro and #1 team.
Hello. This is Just Talking, and we are back on the show. And with me is a very, very, very interesting person who goes by the name Mark Bennington. And jisko nahi pata, he was Dimple Kapadia's love interest in Saas Bahu and Flamingo, Dongze. Right? Such a delightful, lovable character. I really was sad when they killed you off. Why did they kill you off?
I don't know.
It's just like,
I have no idea.
It was not even meant to be. We didn't even expect it.
Yeah, I didn't expect it at all. And no, I've had people come up to me in malls in tears saying, why did they kill you? I have no idea.
So are you sometimes very floored by the love you're getting in a country that is not yours, basically?
It always floors me. It floors me every day. And I'm so appreciative and just grateful. And anytime anyone comes up and says hi, I always thank them profusely for saying hi. It's very sweet. I mean, it's very... Boy, I've had such open arms here, and it's been nothing but.
Tell us, Mark. Tell us about your journey a little bit, because you're from America.
Yeah.
So let's take it from there.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up? And
from day one.
Yes.
Let's see. Well,
in the shortest possible way.
Yeah. Well, I came here in 2010 just as a sort of wanting to see the other side of the planet, that I hadn't been exposed to.
Okay.
And I thought, I would just come here and just,
Were you one of those tourists who come?
Of course, I went to Jaipur.
Let's go to India, the land of elephants.
I went to
and
Pushkar. Yeah. I've sat on an elephant somewhere.
Okay.
And but then I went to Bombay, and I thought, well, maybe I could do a project on actors, and so that's how the book started, the Living the Dream.
Bollywood Life.
Yeah, well, I did a coffee table book.
Yes, My Bollywood Life?
No, Living the Dream, the life of the Bollywood actor.
Living the Dream, the life of a Bollywood actor on HarperCollins.
Yeah, which is how I met Guneet. And
Puneet
So
Monga Kapoor.
yeah. So that's yeah. So I started, you sort of just pulled it out of the ether, this project, thinking, well, I'll meet some actors and I'll interview them and photograph them and see what, you know. I mean, I had a very genuine, sincere curiosity about what life looked like for an actor here, because I had known what life looked like for an actor in LA and New York. So that was really, you know, the driving force behind that project was, what does it look like? And so I tried to really show you know, sort of a, not a gritty version, but a realistic version of what that looks like. Whether you're you know, just starting out or in acting school, or whether you're Nasir in a lighting booth at Prithvi, or, you know what I mean, like a big
Everyone in
celebrity's house,
being a
or
part of the industry.
yeah, like whatever level you're at, you know,
From a
what is that
clapper to
life?
the lights guy to
Yeah.
the
No, it's only actors.
only
It's
actors.
only actors, but it's every branch of the tree. You know, whether you're
So, okay, but tell me, you in America, you were an interesting part of the theater of acting and of
Yeah.
photography over there.
Yeah,
So, were
yeah.
you always inclined towards the arts while growing up? You grew up in
Yeah,
California, New York, where?
always. I grew up in California, and I was, yeah, you know, I saw Saturday Night Fever. So that was like, I saw that, you know, when I was 8. I saw it 3 times in the theater, and I was like, I want to do that,
Or did
whatever
you get the
that
TV
is.
version of it?
Yeah. So I didn't know what that was, whether it was, you know, to be a dancer or to be an actor in a film. But anyway, it was, you know,
John Travolta was such a power
yeah, and it was
magnet.
like, you know, I used to like look in the mirror and like try to get that cleft chin. Like I was so
Everybody
obsessed.
wanted that cleft.
I was so
Henry
obsessed.
Cavill has it. It's considered the sexiest part.
Yeah. So that was really, you know, that and I don't know. I just grew up wanting to. I just thought, I'll be an actor. I'll be an artist. I mean, I always just thought I'll be an artist.
Okay.
You know, whatever that meant, whether it was dancing or acting or drumming. I would play drums for a long time
Okay.
in a band, and so yeah, it was always just a part of
You know,
my.
it's very interesting because when we are Asian, especially, I won't say India, but the Asian culture, child is born, they're already born with responsibilities and duties.
Yeah.
It's like it's in your DNA.
Yeah, yeah.
Bacha ho gaya, you'll grow up and do this and
Yeah,
this and be an engineer, doctor. The already structured life
Yeah,
is
yeah.
predestined for that little baby.
Yeah.
And that child is so bogged down by all that we can't think of the free liberal arts.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the case in America where your parents also, or people are like that over there? Let's have
Yeah, I
a
mean,
comparison.
to some extent, yes, very much, and I think that was a part of. I mean, it also makes sense. It's a part of just a, you know, parental kind of responsibility or survival. You know, you want your offspring to do well and prosper and, you know, be stable, and you want to just make the world safe for them, and a stable job is one way to make the world safe. So I think there's that. That's just sort of innate in human beings, I think. So yeah, it's true in the States, but also there's more of a, I think, in, you know, more modern ages, like liberal arts is more, it's accepted. It's more, the world is changing, as
Your
we know.
parents were cool with what you were doing?
They were totally cool. They were, yeah.
Were they involved with the arts?
No, my dad was a psychologist and my mom was a teacher, and
So he read you well.
Yeah, he read me well, and no, I mean, they were both very, yeah, you know, they encouraged me to go to New York and go to acting school and whatever I wanted to do, and but they just wanted me to be happy, whatever that was.
So primarily, what were you doing in US before you came to India?
Oh, well, I was acting. I went to, you know, I was went to New York, and I did my, you know, education in the theater there, and yeah, so I was an actor for 10 years in the theater, and then I went to LA and did TV. Continued to do theater for 10 years, but got more into TV and you know, made some money doing that, and then I got into photography. I picked up the camera. I picked up the camera, and then suddenly I just was a photographer for the next 15 years, and was a very busy, you know, photographer in Los Angeles, and then moved my business to New York. Had a studio in New York, and then, but that was around the time that I came here.
Okay, but did you know that you are a good photographer?
No, I'd never picked up. I mean, it was no, it was. My grandfather had left me. My grandfather had been an avid amateur photographer. Always wanted me to get into photography.
Okay.
So we could have some common,
Interaction and common
common
thing,
interaction
yes.
and common thing that we worked on together.
So he left the equipment.
So he left me, after he died, he left me all of his cameras and lenses. So I had all of this equipment sitting around collecting dust after he died. And then one fine day, I just dusted it off, off. And I thought, well, I can do that. I'll do that. Maybe I should do that.
And television, the shows, do we know any of the shows in India?
In LA that I did?
That you've done? So do we
Star
can-
Trek.
Oh.
Star Trek and VIP. I know Pamela Anderson was a
Yes,
big deal
VIP,
here.
yes.
I did
I do remember.
VIP and what else did I do? Yeah, NYPD Blue and a bunch of syndicated stuff. I still get checks. I still get
The royalty checks.
my royalty checks.
That's so cool because I don't think so here. There
You don't
is a
have it
system
here. Yeah, there's a union here, but there's nothing like SAG or AFTRA here. Yeah.
But still, SAG was really angry with the core body. I think the writers did go on a
They went on strike last year. That was
Yes.
a big, for even the industry here. Like
Yes.
everyone just, it affected everyone worldwide.
But you still get your royalty checks.
I still get my royalty checks.
That's
I mean,
so
they're for
nice.
$13 or $35
It
or
still
whatever
makes a
it is. but-
difference. If it's coming from 5 different sources, it's a good amount.
Yeah.
How was it working with Pamela Anderson?
I actually didn't. I never
Because
met
she's
her.
really stripped herself off. I'm not
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about the
yeah.
strip, but stripped herself
No,
off the
but good,
makeup
nice
and the
pun. Yeah,
glamour.
yeah. Yeah.
And she's in news like, oh, why is she putting up makeup and all
Yeah.
that? But
No,
she
she's
looks
had a total.
as beautiful as ever.
She's enlightened. I think it's beautiful what she's done and what she's advocating for. No, I never met her. I was with. It was it was a guest appearance with all the other people in the. There's some other gal on the show. I can't remember. I was supposed to have some affair with some other gal.
Okay. But did you
I'm
have
always
these
having
dreams
affairs
that-
with somebody on the show. It seems like.
But did you have a dream that I want to be like the rock star, superstar of America? Did you nurture such dreams? Like we do over here, that I'll be the next Shah Rukh Khan or Rekha or something.
Not really. No, that's a thing here. I know everybody wants to. No, I very much. All of my thoughts were revolved around the contentment of just making a living as an actor in the theater. Like that's what I wanted more than anything, was just to do regional theater, do big Broadway shows, and just do theater. I really just wanted to be a theater actor, character lead, and then TV. Yeah, and then when TV came into the picture, then I was like, oh wow, there's a lot more money, obviously. So and most working actors, you do theater, a couple of plays a year, and then you do a couple of shows, and you make some money, and you do a couple of ads, and
Money.
you scrape together a 6-figure living, and you're totally under the radar. Where here it's not. I mean, everyone wants to. Yeah.
Are we a very ambitious country in terms
Very.
of stardom?
Well, but ambitious. I admire that. Like I when I first came here, I was so in awe of the youngsters here that are so driven and so ambitious and accomplishing so many things. And I mean, like these 23-year-olds who have started like 4 businesses.
Yes.
And I would think, how
How?
old are you? You know what I mean?
I don't know
Even-
what I was doing at 23.
Oh my God! Even when I met
Probably still listening to my mother.
I met Gunit, she was 25. I thought, you're running
Yes,
this
that's-
company, you're 25?
That's a solid
And she'd
success
already done
story.
produced 8
Yes.
films. I thought, at 25? You know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah,
just
I
blew
also
me
say
away.
that at 25.
Yeah, it blew me away. So I have great admiration for the youngsters, far more admiration for youngsters here than I do for youngsters in the States who are still sort of floundering. It seems like a lot, into their late whatever,
Still guessing and still figuring it out.
still figuring it out.
So you like it here better? Or you split between both countries?
I guess I do.
Divide your
I mean,
time between.
I never really thought that I had to make a decision one way or the other. I mean, I always felt like, it's funny you asked that because just this year, this is my 7th year of being here full time. And I never thought of myself as an expat before, but I kind of feel like, I guess I am.
So it has grown on you.
And not only that, but I don't foresee ever going back to the U.S. to live.
Okay.
Like I like to go back and visit. I love going to New York, and my brother-in-law's there, and I've got friends
Still
there.
have family and friends.
Yeah, and I like, and when I have gone back to LA to visit, it's been a while. It's been, years and years. I haven't been back in, like, for a real good long visit in 5 years.
So 2010 India and now 2025 is it's good 15 years. And what's the
Yeah.
change that you've seen and when you came here
The
and
phone. I mean, we all know the phone has changed everything.
okay.
You know, when I first came to Bombay, and it was like I had my little, doing my little,
The
thing, and
Nokia and the Motorola's.
yeah, the Nokia and that, and it
No
would
smartphone.
no smartphone. It would take forever to get anywhere because you have to stop and ask,
Yes.
right? Every
No
100 meters,
directions,
you have to.
nothing.
They say go that way, and then you go that way, and then get down. And no, go
Yes.
back that way, and that would take
For
forever.
anyone living in that place, you'd be like just around the corner and you're
It
just
just-
walking. Where is this
Yeah,
corner?
yeah. No, just around the corner in
Yes,
2
okay.
miles.
Yes.
Yeah. That was very. I'm glad I was here during that time.
Okay.
I'm
So you
really
learned
glad.
your way around the city.
Yeah, learn my way around the city. I mean, I really know Bombay like the back of my hand. Many parts of it, more than my wife even.
When you did that book in 2010,
Hmm.
was it easy pitching, or did you just first take the pictures and then went to HarperCollins, or did it happen the other way around that it was commissioned?
No.
And getting access to all these places, how was that experience?
So when I first came, I had a very clear idea, and I think that's how everything starts, right? If you have a very clear idea of what it is that you want to accomplish, it makes life easier.
So why India? Let's go back.
Just because I had come here just to see the other part of the world.
Okay.
And then I thought, maybe I could do a project here. Like while I'm here, maybe I could do,
Carrying my camera.
not just see the sights, but write it off, for taxes. That was always a big thing of, anytime you're doing freelance, you want to write off everything. So
Yes.
yeah, so it was.
You're thinking, how can I just make some money?
How can I make
off
this
it?
into a work
Yes,
trip?
Yes.
So it started like that, and but it started really. So I had a clear idea of the kind of book that I wanted to do, and then when I met, I just happened to meet one person who introduced me to that person who introduced me to Guni, and then she happened to be free at that time, and she said, "I'll take you around and introduce you to some actors," and that's what she did. The very next day, I went around and met like 7 actors and photographed them and interviewed them, and then that whole next week she had set up meetings. It was amazing. I mean,
She's quick.
and everyone I met, I mean, unlike the U.S., everyone is so helpful. Everyone is so warm. Everyone said, "Oh, you know what? I have the number of the brother of, so and so, and here, try that." And then I would call that person. They said, "Oh, yeah. I know so and so who's the manager of so." It was like, it just happened like that. The doors just opened. Now I know that was also part of me being a foreigner, and having that sort of privilege and access from that privilege. So I fully understand and appreciate that was part of the deal. But it started in that way where I suddenly I had about 25, 30 photographs. I had the beginnings of a book project, and then I'd come back for a second trip, and I met Shanu Sharma. And once I met Shanu, and she was really, she loves photography, and she was very much into these kinds of images that show real life and what somebody really looks like, not just some glossy,
Shanu was still with Yash Raj as the casting.
She I think was in her second or third year there or something like that. She was new.
She's well connected.
She was well connected. I mean, she's kind of from a film family, sort of, I guess. Yeah. So she could pick up the phone and start calling people, and so that's what happened. She picked up the phone.
So
and
you
started
did
calling
the
people.
profiles or you did the stories? Like how was the Bollywood life?
Everything.
And what actors did you cover in that? As in, who was your favorite that you shot?
Funny you should ask. I just happen to have a copy.
That's nice.
It's so funny when I just thought, oh, let me have a little show and tell.
Oh.
So there.
I see Ranveer Singh.
Yeah, so that was sort of later on in the project once I started. It's interesting because, once you get a certain level, status of actor, and then it makes it easier to, get other actors. And then eventually I had actors or actors managers reaching out to me, asking if I wanted, their participation in the book.
Oh, you had
So-
Devanand, so you lucky you got him.
That was I believe it's one of the last photographs taken of him. So I got really lucky, with the entire project, and also, but again, it was coming from a place that was not I didn't have some sort of strident,
So is
you know,
it is excerpts
ambition.
from their lives?
Yeah, I didn't have some sort of like planned out, you know, sort of. It wasn't like a planned out ambitious project. It was sort of just something that was just blossoming in front of me, and something that I was genuinely curious about.
Well, our Randeep Huda, he was here at the set.
He was here. He's my neighbor. Yeah, we just did I just did the last film he did. I was just in.
Okay.
Yeah, I've known him for a while. Yeah, and we have we share the same birthday, August
Oh.
20th. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Asif Basra is no more, so you've got
Yeah,
him
I know.
also.
And he was one of the first ones. I think he was my second interview.
What a lovely man. It was very sad
Yeah,
when I came to know
I
that
know.
he's committed suicide.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I know.
But you know, the
So-
lives are not that starry then. Then suddenly the veil of stardom comes out.
Well, you know, there's different levels. I mean, there's you know, there's Ranveer and there's Salman and there's, you know, big megastars. And then there's working actors that are, I mean, I guess, yeah, you recognize them, but they're not, you know, they're not.
Swara Bhaskar and
Yeah.
Rajat Kapoor, they are all working actors.
Yeah, they're working actors, and
You've taken struggling actors also.
I've taken every branch of the tree.
Yes.
Yeah, every branch. So
Pooja, it's very interesting, Dharmender.
yeah,
And have you seen any of their films?
yeah, many.
Many.
This is from a long time back. I mean, actually, you know, I've got a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, so I don't see a whole lot of films
Yes.
now.
I
Other than
totally
other than
relate to it. I have an
Frozen-
8-year-old and I
Frozen,
can't watch
Moana,
anything.
Luca, like every single Inside Out or whatever. Every animated film I've seen
Yes,
hundreds
all.
of times.
So that's the thing. You know, I'm at Chandigarh Cinevesture International Film Festival and I haven't seen a single film
Yeah.
because you have to run back to the house to the 8-year-old and Mama, where are you going?
Yeah.
So yeah.
You
And
know what I'm saying.
so did you find your partner here then in India?
Oh yeah.
So-
We met on that very first trip in 2010. Well, right after, just a day after I met Guneet. And she was
Taapsee.
Taapsee, yeah.
Right. Good. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
Love had to happen here. Kids had to happen here.
I guess so. I sort of, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then you also started getting Hindi films to do, right? And Hindi work came by.
That came, yeah, you know
so
what?
that we have a Gora actor. Why not use him for the Gora roles?
Yeah, exactly. I was very reluctant to get back into it because I had been a working actor, and then once I got into photography, I had no interest in acting anymore. I really didn't. Like zero. Like not a single cell in my body was interested in acting. I would think about cinematography. I would think about directing. I would think about the way the film works, or the storyline and the narrative and everything. But the acting stuff, I had no interest. But when I was here on maybe a third trip, and then Tess Joseph she was casting something, and she said, "Hey, come in, read for this, British thing." She knew that I had been an actor before, and she said, but I said, no, I have no interest. But I had started dating Taapsee then, so I thought, oh well, maybe it'll be a free trip back to India, and so that's what it turned out to be. But I had a terrible experience on the film. It was called The Letters.
Okay.
It was an international film about Mother Teresa, and I had a really bad experience. Not bad. It was just, it was so boring. Man, it's so boring. You just sit in your trailer forever. And I'm just like, this is horrendously boring compared to, photography and being on a shoot and
also the
choreographing
masala films of Bollywood. You'd rather jump into that.
Yeah, well, but and so I didn't do that was my first thing, and then 2 years later, then Taapsee and I were here getting married, and my friend Vikas, who's here, he was working with Dibakar Banerjee on Byomkesh, and again he said, "Hey."
You were in Byomkesh also.
Yeah, so that was my first Hindi film.
Yeah.
He said, "We need a white guy," and I said, "No, man, I have no interest." He said, "Come on, please just audition for this thing." So I put an audition together. I sent it in. I ended up getting the thing, and it just so happened that we were here for our wedding, and the dates worked out and everything. So that's the only reason I did that. And I had seen Oi Lucky Lucky Oi. I had seen LSD, so I knew that Dibakar was really
good
top notch.
Yeah.
So that was cool, and so I did that. But then again, I had no interest in pursuing acting.
At least you didn't get affairs to do over here.
Affairs?
As in, you were not cast as one having an affair in the.
Oh no, no,
So
no,
you were
none.
getting interesting roles, even
Yeah.
if they were small roles.
Yeah. I mean that. Yeah, so that was an interesting. That was that was a good film. I know it didn't have a huge box office
I
hit,
loved it. I
but it
still
was a
watch
good.
it.
It had a
I've watched
weird
it so many times because I'm
ending.
also a
It
huge
was a
fan of
beautiful.
Sushant Singh Rajput.
Yeah.
And I miss the guy terribly.
He was awesome.
And Debakar is brilliant at what he does.
I think so
I
too.
think his work is fabulous.
I think so too.
I liked Shanghai also a lot.
Yeah. Me too.
So I don't know why he doesn't make more films. And then yes, and
I don't know.
because you've done plenty of little roles in between, and then suddenly Saas Bahu Flamingo.
Yeah.
So Homi Adajania got in touch with you.
Homie and I. So I had done some small thing, a one-day thing on English Medium 2.
Okay.
It was a scene with Irfan, and that's the only reason I did it. Because I said, I'm not going to do a one-day thing. Why would I? You know what I mean? So, because I'd already done some roles that had, and I also kind of, I turned down a lot of stuff that is very sort of
Stereotypical
or generic, or has not really anything interesting. But that I wanted to work with Irfan, and
Yes,
also I
who
wanted
doesn't?
to give him a book because
Yes.
I had met him
Okay.
for the book, and he and I had an
His
amazing
pictures also
conversation.
here, is
Yeah,
it? Okay.
we had an amazing, very bizarre, cool, random sort of very,
Interaction.
very, very interesting conversation.
So
I
it was a
wanted
good
to
connection.
Yeah, it was a beautiful, like, soul felt connection. So I wanted to see him again and give him give him the book. So that's kind of why I did it. But working with Homie, and Homie was totally cool. But we didn't. I mean, I was there for one day, or 2 days or whatever. And but then I got called for Sas Bahu. In fact, when I first got called, I told them to call a friend of mine who spoke French. I was like, oh, you don't want me, you want this, call my friend, he speaks French. And so they called him, but they ended up not, that didn't work. So they called me back and said, can you come in and do this? Can you do a French accent? That was the Homie's whole thing. Can you do a French accent? And I said, well, I've done a lot of different accents, so let's see. So that was a big sort of hurdle to jump, getting that accent down and, making it
It was
something.
a good series.
Yeah, it was a good series, and that was the first time I really felt, not the first time, because I felt with Rocket Boys and I felt with Maharaj that there was another level,
Yes.
or much bigger, for me, a much bigger level of participation, of
There's an arc.
collaboration,
Yeah. Yes.
with the director, and so I felt like there was more to do,
And
because
the right guy is looking out, if the person at the helm of things is
yeah,
talented and right, then you also like doing the project.
yeah, and he
Because
and
they
I,
understand your talent. And
Yeah,
they'll
and
give you the role accordingly.
and he also, I mean, kudos to Homie, because he's like a total soul brother also. Like I love the guy. He's awesome, and he's so open to the actor's input, especially if you prove that you know what you're doing, a good job, you know what you're doing, and you're given stuff that's cool, then he can let you fly with it,
Right.
and that takes a lot of confidence as a director, I think, not to have that grip on everything,
And you have ventured into direction. There's a film of yours that is here at Cine Vesture.
Yeah, so I created a series a couple of years ago, and I directed a proof of concept for the pilot, as a part of submitting the Bible and everything for submission for production companies. So that I submitted here, and it got accepted. So
What is it about?
it's about a couple. Basically, it's like life in Bombay is not a crime thriller or a soap opera. It's real love, real loss, friendships, aging parents, everything in between. So it's a very modern love story, actually, about a good, solid couple and their friends who are raising kids in Bombay, and with aging parents. And it's a very like adult.
So you're looking for investors now to
Looking for investors, yeah.
get the project going.
Yeah.
Is it English, Hindi? English?
It'll be English, yeah. I mean, I've written the whole thing in English, but I understand that it's got to be.
You've learned the language here?
Thoda.
Thoda.
A little bit, as much as yeah.
But see, coming from there and doing Hindi, English, and now Punjabi also, how
yeah.
was it on the Komagata Maru experience that we were talking about?
Yeah, that I only.
Nanak Jahaz, that is the thing.
Yeah.
Nanak
That
Jahaz.
it's all, for me, it's all
Gurpreet
English.
Kubri and Tarseem Jassar.
Yeah, that was all English for me. Yeah.
That was all English. It was
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
working on it. I think.
Yeah. I had a great time working on it. Yeah, we were
But you
here.
had to. I think you must have got a very stern role in it.
I've always got a stern rule, with the exception of a few here and there. I'm pretty. It's that, I also get, I think it's like any actor, the way your face looks is sort of the way I look like somebody in charge. I never feel that way. My wife is in charge, but I get cast for whatever, for however I look as the guy in charge.
So photography continues. Will we see another coffee table book like this for the new generation that has come, or maybe the insides of the studios instead of the human angle? Maybe
I haven't
man and machine.
It's funny because once I, getting back into acting sort of came as just sort of needing a break actually from photography. And then also it kind of reignited, it was sort of a renaissance of thinking about acting again after, because when I was an actor in my early teens and early,
20.
I'm saying 20s and early 30s, I was like the actor's actor, I was like diehard actor, and it was 5 plays a year and all of that stuff, and I was so serious about it. And then coming back to it, I had a much more relaxed, so much so that I feel like those first projects I was doing, I mean, I'm serious about it, but I was also just kind of like, okay, I'll. It was like kind of a vacation from photography, and it was a way to make money and do something that I had some talent at, but I wasn't super invested. But then I don't know, a couple of years into it, then I was like, oh, I think I invest a little more. And that's when I started getting things like Rocket Boys, where then there was more collaboration, and Sasbahu, there's more collaboration. So as I started to sort of rethink and get more into it, then
Could manifested somewhere. And
yeah, but I say that also to say that photography has really taken a back step from me, backseat. And there are projects that have that are still on the back burner that I haven't finished yet. But
have you traveled the length and breadth of India to do
yeah, but
more
mostly
photography?
not for photography, mostly for shoots, and you know how much you see when you're on a shoot. You go from the hotel to the
Have you shot something in
studio.
Chandigarh? Like your friend was saying that you should play the role of Lakubuzia.
Right. I know I have. Yeah. Bangrapale.
Okay.
We shot here somewhere.
Okay.
Out somewhere around here. And this last year. And I know there was something. I've also been here for a few plays.
Okay.
Because I did a play called Divikarani
Okay.
with Lilette Dubé.
Okay.
And we had done something here, and I can't remember.
So are you going to pursue that Lakubuzia role?
Yes.
If it ever happens?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I'd be interested in writing it and directing it, and maybe
About
acting.
Chandigarh. That
Yeah.
would be nice.
Yeah.
Because the archives and the history is fresh.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a very old city, so everything will be there.
Yeah, and as far as I know, there's never been a fiction.
Never.
Yeah.
How he came and got
Yeah.
it made. Because he was a straight shooter. He was a very tough person to work with.
Yeah.
He
That's
was
what I
not easy
understand.
to work with.
Yeah. I think it would be a cool. Yeah, I haven't seen The Brutalist, but maybe it'll be some
Yeah.
sort of like Chandigarh version of The Brutalist. Or
Yes, but I do
yeah.
like the Chandigarh architecture. So
yeah.
I think it has a character if it grows on you.
Yeah.
Anna. And now, so what aspect of India do you take back to America? Now that you're here and it's not a land of elephants and snake charmers, and that thing must have sort of washed off. What is India
It
to
washed
you?
off a long time
Yeah,
ago.
I know. So when you compare, okay, say Hollywood and Bollywood,
Mm.
what differences do you see? And I won't say what do you like most because they probably both have different work ethics. So how would you sort of weigh both of them?
I mean, I think that to some extent, it's more organized there. Having said that, there are many things here that are projects that I've been on, usually OTTs, that are super organized. Where you get the call sheet.
Because that's all studio backed.
Yeah, you get the script, you get the call sheet, you know what you do. Having said that, even Heeramandi, which was a gigantic, mammoth project, we didn't get the script till that morning. Every day,
That's how he works, I think. Bhansali.
That's how he works, and that's just how some people work in general. That's films in the South, Triple R, Rajamouli would just sort of write it down and say, "Here, say this.
Oh,
Let's shoot." There's no rehearsal. You're like, "Oh shit, okay, let's go," and then you just try to remember
mouth it
what
off.
you're saying.
No
It's
reference.
kind of crazy.
Just do it.
There's some
I
sort
think
of
that's a film you could make, like a Blowfish. It's like
yeah. It's sort of
Blowfinger or Blowfish. It was Steve Martin's. He makes with Eddie
go
Murphy.
go. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Blowfinger or Blowfish.
Yeah. No,
Something
I know
like.
the
They
one you're
also do
talking
it
about.
like that, you know.
Yeah.
The eccentricity of making a film.
There's some freedom in that.
Yeah.
There's I have to say there's some
Creative process. Even
yeah, there's-
Punjabi films were like that. Here.
no
Same day.
no yeah same day this last one you get it on the same day there are I would say 40% of the things I do you get on the day of, or I've done a few that you're getting like
Right at
that
the last
right
minute.
there. So and that is as I said, there's some freedom in that. There's also a lot of you just have to let go of trying to you just do it. Don't think about it. You don't have time to think about it. But then the other ones that that's more of a process that I grew up in is rehearsing and you learning your lines and having it have time to marinate. Get saturated in that whatever character you've created that that fits into that narrative. Saturate yourself in that and then live in that world and create that and then you just sort of embody that with this behavior and you have time to sort of develop behavior that makes sense, if that makes sense.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
It does.
Instead of
when you are
just
rehearsed, then you sort of also get into the skin of the character.
yeah, otherwise you're just flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, then that's why it's like
And-
it doesn't make an impact if you're just saying it or mouthing it off.
I don't think so. I think it for me personally, I think it does a disservice to the actor or the actor's process, depending on what process the actor
If
has.
it's not rehearsed, if they're not.
For me, Heeramandi, when I watch it or anything like that, like I feel like I'm just looking at a guy who's trying to remember lines. That's what it feels
It
like to
feels
me.
like that. But
But nobody else sees that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That as an actor you will know.
Yeah.
But do you feel that America or Hollywood is still the greatest storyteller, or they're now
No. I don't think they ever have been. I mean,
because they call themselves, God bless America, and it's like the greatest storytellers ever.
I don't think so. I think European film, for my money, European films are far more interesting, and far more diverse in the sort of the abstract quality of a story. That it can be abstracting. I guess there is that in America too. When you look at something like Apocalypse Now, you're like, how on earth did that film win the Academy Award? It is so unique, and it's so not a linear kind of film at all. But
Still won.
it won, and so and that's mainstream. So I guess, but I do feel like a lot of America is graded. I mean, but the Brits are the best. Europe, I think, is so unique in their storytelling. America's pretty good, and India has their own way of. I mean, they have their own unique.
India
and there's so many different
India's
parts,
very
right?
entertaining. I find India
It's very
entertaining.
entertaining. Yeah, it's very entertaining.
So diverse.
And
And it's beautifully diverse. I
Yeah.
love the diversity. I
Yeah.
love the layers to this country.
Yeah. Me too. And
I love it so colorful.
It's colorful and it's heartfelt and it's there are things that are just so genuine and funny and there's a lot of beauty and entertainment and
All right.
it's very cool.
So on
It's cool
that
to be
note, we'll take your leave.
here. Yeah.
And I look forward to more coffee table books
Oh,
and
thanks.
more shows. And
I don't know if they'll be
really
coming
did
from
hope
me.
they didn't kill you off in Sasbo and when we go. You would have seen more
Yeah.
weed and marijuana being grown by you.
Yeah. No,
Special formula that you had.
No, the next one I'm a Scottish football coach.
Oh.
Yeah, I've just done this series with Killian here, who's here, called the Real Kashmir Football Club. True story about
Okay.
this amateur football
This is an
club.
Indian OTT?
Yeah,
Okay.
about this amateur football club in Kashmir, and
Okay.
they bring in this ex-pro Scottish football player who's their coach, and he takes them to #1 team in their league and turns them pro and #1 team. It's a very cool true story.
Lovely. So I'm
So,
going to look forward to that
yeah,
and
yeah,
many
yeah,
more
yeah.
things from you. Thanks, Mark.
Oh my
Had a
God.
lovely time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great talking
And
to you.
that's all from Just Talking. Please do share, like, and subscribe to the channel. And with me, Mark Bennington.
Ah,
Half American, half Indian.
thank you.
Thank you.
मेरे दिल दे से है.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mark.
you.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.